In today's video, we are talking once again about Chanel. I talk about Chanel an awful lot because frankly, I feel like I buy from Chanel an awful lot. Not like some of the other YouTubers out here, might I add, but I've had quite a lengthy luxury buying career, and in terms of my handbag collecting career, I feel like Chanel is pretty much up there. And with that in mind, obviously since I've been buying handbags and other luxury items as well from Chanel, there are certain things that I've noticed with regard to, namely quality, which is something that I think a lot of people have noticed from Chanel has gone, pachoo! I never really felt like I was personally affected that much by quality issues. Certainly I've covered it in other videos on this channel around, for example, costume jewellery I've had niggles with, but nothing major, nothing in terms of the massive expense that is a handbag. But a lot of people have mentioned in the past quality issues around Chanel handbags, and actually when I've reflected upon my own personal collection, which I personally think is, I've been maybe very blessed with the good quality that I've had from the handbags that I've bought. There is one handbag which is different to the others, which is made from a very different material to all of the others, which honestly I've had quite a few issues with. And so I want to share more of these kinds of videos which are hopefully helpful to you out there if you are considering adding certain luxury items, namely from Chanel, because it's very high ticket at the moment. I wanted to share today's video around a particular handbag type that you probably shouldn't buy, or at least think twice on, and that is the Chanel patent leather handbags. And for all intents and purposes, I'm going to say patent leather. I know there's a patent, potato, debate. You can let me know what you say down in the comments below, but for consistency's sake, I'm going to say patent. And this is, as you can tell, probably for those avid Chanel lovers out there, this is the boy bag. A style that also, as a side note, I haven't seen much recently. Let me bring it back to the topic of today's video, which is why you shouldn't buy a patent leather handbag from Chanel. And I'm saying from Chanel because I do have other patent leather handbags, and namely from, as you can see here, from Givenchy. This is the Givenchy Antigona, which looks very, very pristine. And in fact, probably you're thinking, these both, Mel, look very pristine. However, one is deceiving, the other one is less so. And I wanted to show you that comparison today as I talk you through the reasons and the up close and personal wear and tear that you'll be able to see on camera of why you shouldn't buy one from Chanel, because I think it's all wrapped around that Chanel quality point that they've had a problem with for a while. I say they've had a problem with. I don't necessarily think that there is a problem that they're necessarily willing to fight against, but certainly with this particular patent leather bag, I'm not sure if it's just the boy bag style or not. I don't want to find out in the future, you know, and buy more bags from Chanel that are patent leather and have these issues, but there are loads of wear and tear and quality things that I would just warn you against. That's not to say that patent leather is not worth looking into, because clearly there was a draw for me to add this bag to my collection in the first place, right? I think it's probably useful then if I go way back in a time capsule and just take you back to my mindset when I bought this bag all those years ago. And I actually bought this bag, as some of you may already know, from Heathrow Airport. I wasn't actually meant to buy this bag. When I say meant, I'd actually put on hold the day before I was going to the airport a caviar ruthenium hardware Chanel boy bag. It was in black. It was all basically similar specs, though that one was in old medium. And as soon as I saw it, really, I found it a little bit underwhelming. I'd really built up the bag in my mind, probably from all of the social media push at the time, you know, 6 or 7 years ago. The boy bag was really lit. It was on fire. It was on fleek. And I wanted something that was classic, but also modern, somewhat edgy. And so when I got the caviar version presented to me and I wore it, it was just looking very, very dull. And with the ruthenium hardware being almost as dark as the black leather itself, it just looked a little bit underwhelming and not that wow. And so when I said to the sales associate that I was being served with at the time, do you have any other bags I could maybe compare this bag to? Because I had that one on reserve and I was going to buy it regardless. And I didn't really research much into handbags at the time, the different leathers that the boy bag, let alone other handbags, came in, because you've got a variety, right, from Chanel, let alone other fashion houses, but named from Chanel, you've got the classic caviar, which is very hard wearing, of course, and you've got the lambskin, which is softer but very classic and absorbs colour really, really nicely. And then you've also got the lesser known ones like the calf skin, goat skin, and of course patent, which I'd never seen before. So actually she went into the bag, she brought out a ton of other bags, and of course, lo and behold, she brought out this particular bag, and as they say, the rest is history, because here I am with this bag, spoiler alert. It was shining bright like my future. It looked very, very clean and classy and elegant. The caviar one just looked very, very dull and matte, and this one looked alive. It looked very, very vibrant. Even though it was black, obviously it shines a lot in the lighting, as you can see here. You just don't see bags like this around, whereas you see a lot of the caviar, a lot of the lambskin around. And also from what the sales associate said as well, it's quite white, clean. She gave me an impression, and I don't think she was falsely selling me a story either, that it was very carefree in terms of spillages, which I think is one of the biggest perks that a lot of people mention about patent leather handbags, is that you can tell because of the shiny nature of it that any spillages, obviously, depending on what you spill, of course, it would just be quite fuss-free. And I thought, you know, it's a black colour anyway, it's shiny as well, it's almost like a raincoat, isn't it? It would just, everything would just fall off it, roll off it, and it would just look shiny and new all the time, forever and ever at the end. But fast forward many, many years, I've been using and loving this bag a lot. I will say that I didn't really baby it as much as I baby my bags now. I guess that just comes with time and experience, right? But I've worn this out. I've been on hikes and things with this particular bag. However, because of this consistent usage, I have noticed a few wear and tear things here and there, which on their own weren't that bad. But then I recently just took it out, just to have a look at it. Maybe a couple of weeks ago I used it actually. And I noticed all of the wear and tear elements together, and I thought, holy crap, there's a lot going on here that I was not expecting. So the first thing I will show you actually over the years that I have owned this bag is just the emergence of random scratches. And I say random because actually when I look at these scratches and run my finger then across them, there is no indentation actually of where a scratch should be. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to bring you real close and show you two particular scratches on the front of this boy bag. So hopefully you can see these white marks here. I have no idea where those came from, no idea if that's the leather as well, because it's very smooth when I touch it. And so I have a feeling maybe it's just the black lacquer of the leather has just rubbed off and has revealed the layer underneath it, because I have no idea what that is. And I've tried, you know, applying a very lightly damp cloth just to buff it out and things. Nothing works. So that's there forever. And there's also similarly a white mark at the top of the clasp as well, which similarly I cannot get out. I think one of the pitfalls of patent leather then is the way that it just absorbs things very, very quickly into the leather, which you would almost find is a little bit counterintuitive, which on the whole I would say when I have, even now, just running my fingers across the bag, I'm not scratching or anything like that, it's pretty resistant to it. But yet, when it comes to things like moisture, or maybe even the scratch was done through some sort of element of moisture or liquid there, it just retains it and it sucks it all in. So this is already just signaling to me, if this can happen on a black bag, imagine what it would happen on a lighter coloured bag, right? And something worth noting on the inside as well is that there is also another scratch on the patent leather part here. As you can see, it's even indented. You can probably see as soon as I move it around in the light, you can see the indent of the scratch. This one was totally my fault, by the way. I know exactly how I got it because I had this like nail glue pen in my bag and it kind of like got a dot of the nail glue on here, which I know it's really bad, but I was young and dumb, I'm gonna say. But yeah, I tried to get it out and I tried picking it off, and you know, patent leather, everything just sticks to it, like I said. So yeah, it's kind of left that indentation there, but to be honest, it's not like it bothers me because it's on the inside. I guess I could always, having said that, with these scratches, put a bit of black paint on it. I could go into a handbag clinic and they did actually, I did get a quote drawn up for me, and it was, I think it was quite expensive actually. It was like a couple of hundred just to get these bits filled out. But they even said, you know, because it's patent leather, we could paint on top of it, but you'd lose the sheen. And that's the point of patent leather. So it would almost look a bit matte and dull and 2D. Then in terms of something else that's probably worth noting is just the sheer wrinkling of the thing. And there's wrinkles absolutely everywhere, which again, I think is forgiving because it's shiny, it's distracting your eyes from what's going on, but I certainly can see it and it does bug me quite a bit. So we've got some wrinkling over here. I hope you'll be able to see that. There we go, there you go, there you can see that wrinkling over there. And you know, this wrinkling is very normal in the sense that the bag is curved. Therefore, it's not like I'm doing a crazy amount. Obviously, I'm opening, etc., but I'm not opening it here. So that wrinkling is just formed, and I just don't know if it's to do with the fact that because patent is, I don't know, it's kind of soft actually when you touch it, and it's so prone to damage via light and heat, humidity, that it might have just adopted this certain shape and kept there. But I'll tell you where the wrinkling is pretty bad, to be honest. It's on the sides of the bag. This side actually is the worst. And you can see it on the top. Sorry, it's focusing on my face. There we go. You can see a little bit on the rim at the top here. And the bottom, my goodness, look at that wrinkling. And you'll also notice the leather is warped. And again, this patent leather just does not want to behave. It wants to stick to one shape and then it won't move anywhere else. And I've tried my best to stuff it. It's got air paper in it currently. Again, I don't know if it's a grievance that I should be sharing about the boy bag or if it's about the patent leather, but I do have a sneaking suspicion it is about the patent leather because my mum has never complained about this on her boy bag. And I don't think it helps though, having said that the boy bag is shaped such that the base is a little bit pitted. But certainly you can see a lot of that wrinkling here, which is, oh goodness, that looks even worse now that I've pushed it out. You see what I mean? It's almost nicer looking if I just left it pitted. But then obviously over time, because of, you know, the leather softening as well, and probably again, also that humidity element and things, it's probably just going to stay like that. And you can't buff these wrinkles out. The bottom, funnily enough, is fine, but it's kept this pitted shape, which I bet if I was to poke that out, that would look not great at all. Yeah, in fact, now it's created some wrinkles there. Don't know if you'll be able to see that. Little bit. The other side though is a lot better, but again, not great because of the way the boy bag is shaped at the base. I've poked it out a little bit, but it will just inevitably want to go back in. And on the inside, there's not much wrinkling at all, but you know, you can see the indentation from where the clasp has been pushed inside or stamped inside the bag, that it almost forms like a little bit of a black hole around it. Same around the scratch that I made earlier. Oh gosh, even now I'm looking at the strap, the handle of the bag, and there's wrinkling here too. I don't know if that's gonna focus on, yeah, there we go. There's a lot of wrinkling here, which again, to be expected, but I have no idea what this bag is gonna look like in 5-10 years time. Also, relating to that wrinkling or indentations is actually probably one of the worst things, if not the worst things in my opinion, that has happened on this patent leather bag, which has never happened on any of my other Chanel handbags, because primarily those are in caviar leather, I think. So this one, I was baffled. I actually noticed this a couple of weeks ago, which is why I was like, I probably should make a video about this to warn everyone. And that is actually an indentation that I found with the quilting. So I'm just going to point it out here so you can see it. There it is. I don't know if you can tell, but there is a tiny CC stamped in the quilting. And I was really confused when I saw this 2 weeks ago, because I was like, is that like an authenticity thing that's on my bag? Because it was quite nice and it's quite full. Then I realised actually, on this particular strap, there are these very small CCs stamped. It must have gone like this. Which is, again, I don't store my bags like this, so I have no idea how that happened. Maybe even when I was out and about at like a fashion week or something and I was posing like this, could have happened there, but that would have been a split second, so I have literally no idea how that CC stamp got there. And it worries me because I'm like, well, if that can get there, what else is it capable of doing? I would like to say that this bag, although I haven't really babied it that much, I also haven't really abused it to the extent that I make fun of myself for doing it. I hold my hands up to the fact that better care would have avoided this. However, some of the things like the scratches, and to be honest, to an extent, the stamping is something that you just can't account for. There are just some things that you just never would think would happen. And I just think the stamping that did occur on the back is just so unique to this patent leather handbag. Usually patent leather, if it's constantly in the sunlight or in humid weather, etc., or not stored correctly, it can create a sticky or tacky sound. And this one, I guess it's mostly to do with my fingers at the moment. You know, you have natural hand oils, so it could also impact the leather and create the sound anyway. But I think it might actually have to do with the fact that if the bag is kept somewhat moist or in direct sunlight, that the stamping or markings on the bag would be much more pronounced and more prominent. As soon as I noticed it, I was like, crap, well, I can't use this bag in hot weather because it's just going to it's just gonna mark up so easily, and I don't want my bag to become sticky and have that smell. This one hasn't had the issue, but I also store it in the dark and I store it away from other bags, and sometimes I even let it out to breathe just in case it gets too warm in there, so it's a bit of like a Goldilocks bag, you know, which I think people need to be aware of upfront when they consider a handbag, because this is definitely a lot more high maintenance than I thought it was going to be. But this is basically like a workhorse bag for me now. Since it's already gotten to the stage, there's no point me going crazy over how it looks now, because to be honest, it's been used and loved for so long, I may as well just continue looking after it. What I want to also now do is contrast how she looks with how my Givenchy Antigona looks. I actually bought the Givenchy Antigona a year and a half or maybe 2 years before I bought the Chanel boy bag. However, in comparison with this even being a cheaper bag, with it being also a lighter coloured bag and just a generally bigger bag where it's prone to a lot more wear and tear by extension, I found this has worn beautifully over time. In fact, if I take you up close and personal for this, and I've done Givenchy Antigona videos in the past, there are like no markings on this, and I'm being really serious with you here. Like, okay, you might be able to see one little, what was it, like it looks like a stone mark or whatever, yeah, just tiny one, but you really got to strain to see that. The sides are immaculate too. Same for the back. Like, I have no complaints over this bag, and also it doesn't have that sound. Yeah, it doesn't have a tacky sound, whereas this one, it doesn't, but it feels less smooth. And every time that I've had marks in the past, I've even had denim transfer marks on the back where I thought, that's it, that's game over, you know, or pen marks. I've managed to buff them out. And it's just astonishing to me that two of the same material bags, but from different fashion houses, have worn very, very differently over time. I appreciate this is very different style, very different in terms of the thickness of leather as well. But I just found that the Givenchy Antigona, as I've raved about in many videos in the past about this bag, is, although it's a heavy bag, right, I'm not gonna lie about that, it is so structural, it's so durable, it's scratch resistant, it's everything that I initially thought the patent leather handbag would be, and that's actually why I thought patent leather was going to be okay. That's why I wanted just to make that very quick comparison, because although I would say don't buy patent leather from Chanel, in fact, even in footwear or anything like that, I'm going to avoid it like the plague. With patent leather as a whole from other brands, like for example, I've gotten Valentino Rockstud in patent leather, which is a very, very similar colour to my Givenchy Antigona here. I've had no issues really with the leather on that. I guess it's probably on a designer case-by-case basis, or maybe on an item-by-item basis, but I think with Chanel's track record, it's not like they're going to up their quality and invest lots in research and development, right, to improve their items. And let's be honest, you are buying the brand, you're buying their marketing campaigns, and they're working, let's be honest, but the whole point about buying Chanel is buying quintessential luxury, high-end luxury to the likes of Hermes prices. And I just don't think that you're justified in charging essentially the same as like Hermes, Kelly's and Birkins and things like that pricing for shoddy quality items. And I know patent leather is not something that they create an awful lot. It's occasional, it's probably seasonal at this stage. They do come out with them still, and I just think it's one to avoid. I love how this bag looks, even to this day, and like I said, I would never get rid of it. It's too sentimental for me at this stage, and also it's probably too bust up, let's be honest here, with how it currently looks. I don't think anyone would buy it anyway, so it's better if I just keep it. I just think it's just probably worth mentioning up front to you guys now so that you can avoid maybe making what you might think would be an expensive mistake. It is patent, so it does live up to its initial promise of being clean looking, but up close, it's a bit of a catfish bag. On that helpful note, I'm gonna leave this video right here. I hope it was helpful for you out there. If you have a patent leather handbag, regardless of the brand, let me know how you've gotten on with it below and if you've got any tips and tricks. So anyways, I'm gonna leave this video here. Thank you guys for watching, and I will catch you in my next one.